to all of you. I see that you're very much fresh for the whole conference. I'm very glad to be here, and EFMA as well. So let's start with something which I would like to present to you today, and the innovation trends in retail banking. So before I start, can I ask you, you have a pen and paper in front of you, what do you think is your #1 trend you follow now in your banks? Probably you can share a little bit with your colleagues sitting next door. Just a little bit, just a couple of seconds, and then I'll show you what EFMA thinks are the main trends in retail banking. So you have already written on your papers? I see everybody is very active. So let's start then. EFMA is an association which gathers thousands of financial brands across the globe. And our main mission is to facilitate the industry transformation and innovation. Simply to help you, member base, to overcome all these challenges you face every day. Especially, you know, all these big techs, fintechs, all other players which actually interfere into the industry, and we need to do something. So that's why EFMA is here, and I'm glad to be here and introduce you what the trends, where banks actually invest most of their time and money to bring something new to their customers. Because in the end of the day, it's about the customer you try to service. So the answer, what are the top trends? But before I announce them, probably you know that we every year receive more than 400 innovation case studies into our innovation library, simply to give the audience as much as possible the insights, what's going on across the globe. And thanks to the analytics, we call it really kind of analytics where we try to identify the most common topics which were submitted within the innovation submissions. We actually got these results. And a #1 trend has become bots. You know, chatbots are very popular everywhere, and I don't know who of you actually put chatbots, artificial intelligence as a #1 trend. Please raise your hand.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean just 2 or 3 of you. So that's #1. The next one is SME reinvented, because we know that SME will contribute a lot to the future banking revenues. Anybody mention this one on your paper? Nobody. Nobody. Okay. Workforce, simply how to make from your workforce, thanks to the technology, the one who can better interact with the customer, who can better fulfill the needs of the customer. Open APIs, PSD2, and everybody has to be compliant, but is everybody also taking advantage of PSD2 as an opportunity? That's another interesting question. Because how to shift from open APIs to value proposition interface is another trend. Transactions for actions, big data is always the key. And niche is nice. You know, thanks to the technology, we can even better fulfill the needs of the niches where before it was because the costs was really not possible because of the high cost to serve. So these are, let's say, 6 different ones. If we look at, we looked at from the most common topics, but we also look at the number of innovations. And at the next graph, you see where actually we received the most of them. And again, chatbots are winning. However, besides already mentioned one, there are 2 rising stars, and that's rising stars, rising trends, and then gamification and entrepreneurship.
What is entrepreneurship? How do you call it?
Yeah, entrepreneurship is how to make your employees entrepreneurs for critical projects you might have, because it's not about open innovation, external
So
one.
creating an enterprise inside the enterprise,
Exactly.
right?
Internal innovation process, how to really make something new and motivate people inside the organization to shift to the more startup mindset. So,
Fine.
Okay, so let's start with the first one. Comes from OCBC, and you will see all different practical case studies by every trend I'll be showing you, and this comes from Singapore. Chatbots are actually mostly about conversational banking, but what is interesting about this one, that goes more beyond. I mean, it costs you hell of the money, but in the end of the day, we know that will be another important touch point where this touch point can get transformed to more generating leads and get more new customers. And this one actually, whenever a conversation starts between a chatbot and the potential customer, leads to kind of a loan quotation in housing. It's kind of very successful, and actually the chatbots developed in Asia by banks are the most growing and fast growing stuff. So I really recommend you to check them out. Let me show you where, as I told you, was, or probably still is many times, the chatbots now before, and now where we are moving. So they're interconnected and linked to the CRMs that you can better understand and follow potential needs of the customer. Okay, moving to the other examples, one from Comdirect, which is part of Commerzbank Group, gives the customer the control, the way he likes when it comes to investing into asset management products. Based on either self-direction, validation, delegation. The one up there is actually first chatbot in Facebook, developed by Caixa Group, one of the most innovative banks in the world, and via the sub-brand Imagine Bank, which attracts the millennials to try to also somehow be and to speak the language how the millennials liked to do. Moving forward, as I mentioned, niche is nice, and Standard Bank of South Africa decided that for the micro clients or micro business clients, it's really about do less banking but more business. To do so, they created an ecosystem where the ecosystem is plugged to the financial and non-financial value-added services. It's kind of a workstation, if you can imagine, where really a freelancer cannot really bother about the accounting, because his accountant is simply plugged in as well, and all administrative work can be done instead of him. This also says that the niche is another important trend, and banks are more sophisticated in identifying those niches, where the willingness to pay, as you can see on the screen, is the highest. It's not anymore about the age only, but if you see the other parameters, mindset, lifestyles, and what is missing is actually needs. That's where banks are now better understanding and helping the customer based on their behavioral analytics, what they would like to go for and predict their future demands.
Well, yeah, but it's easier now with the digital technologies to implement niche applications, right?
Yes, it's much easier. I mean, banks are now understanding, and thanks to the really structured data now and CRMs, they're able to actually see where the customer are going. Because, of course, if it's not the case, that's the prerequisite. Okay. Another examples, except of Purple, Detour by Travelex, started in France, very similar like Revolut. I'm not showing the Revolut, I think was showed last year, but so showing you something new. Similarly like Revolut, for one price you can set up multiple currency accounts, and withdraw money, pay with them, so saving the important costs you might have when you travel as a traveler somewhere. The other one again comes to SME, and that is developed by DenizBank. Again, one of the most innovative global banks, bringing a lot of innovations, and this one goes as a value service added. Okay, sorry. Okay, value-added service, helping the agricultural segment, so all the farmers, with engineering additional issues which might have when they would like to grow crops. There might be some diseases, so something where they are always kind of a business advisor, so not only the financial companion, but also business advisor when you do your business. And that's moving us to the following trend about SME reinvented, because now all banks, they try to create, as I mentioned, digital ecosystems. And this is one which comes from Australia, National Bank of Australia, partnered with different fintechs, and one of them you see there, it's actually Xero. You cannot see the whole brand of Xero, and that's the cloud online accounting. What it helps, you know, of course, a SME client helps that it has something for free and can actually, where banks provide added value service, but also for a bank means that they can better understand the credit history. And thanks to that, for example, NAB can provide much quicker scoring assessment and provide quick biz loans. And this is the next trend, what we see, that the value-added services are not something just separated from the core business, but is actually something which supports the core business and brings more value not only for the SME customers, but for the bank in the end, the more lending opportunities. Again, some examples. What you see, some banks are experimenting with different locations. Idea Bank, very similar to already Purple proposition, does the same things on cloud for SMEs. It's a monoliner in Poland. And what they did, you see a compartment, a train compartment, where they settled a co-working center and branch at the same time. So whenever you take a train to Wrocław or Krakow, you can use this primary use for the customers.
It's inside the train?
Yes, this is a compartment inside the train.
So you're going from, if you go in from Athens to Thessaloniki, you can go to co-working space and do all your bank jobs, right?
Yes, and you can work there, and if you need some banking, they help you. If not, you can just stay and work. Of course, it's reserved for the clients mainly, Idea Bank's clients.
Okay, that's a nice idea.
They have also Idea Hub and other things. We can probably discuss it later, but let me show you one of the most progressive banks in Europe, and that's mBank. And there's something, let me show you the video.
Did you know that you can start your business in just a few seconds? Until recently, it was a real bumpy ride. First, entrepreneurs search for the information. There are hundreds of questions and thousands of answers. How to find the right ones? Then, 90% of them go to brick-and-mortar City Hall to register their company. Next, they open a bank business account. After that, they have to update their company registry data. Finally, they find the right accountant. And guess what? They again need to update their company registry data. After 10 to 15 days, they are ready to run their business. mPower Business Starter from mBank is a revolution. Now you start your company online in seconds. Whole process is automated. We create your state digital signature. We open you a business account. We provide you with professional accounting services and officially register your company. It's not magic. mBank's powerful engine in the background does everything on your behalf. You just need to fill in a short form online. Most fields will be filled in automatically. You only have to enter 6 fields. Context advice will guide you through the process. In case of doubt, just call our professional accountant. That's it. Thanks to revolutionary Empower Business Starter, you just became entrepreneur. Good luck.
And good luck to all of you who would like to do something like this. I know it's not that easy, but how actually you as a bank can help your SME customers to avoid all administrational burden and hassle behind that.
Where is mBank based?
mBank is based in Poland.
Okay.
Poland and belongs to the Commerzbank group as well.
So it's a subsidiary of Commerzbank?
Yes, but it also operates in Czech and Slovakia.
Yeah, but just out of curiosity, in Poland, the regulation for setting up a company is much simpler than any other countries, right?
Exactly. It's very similar also how you heard of e-residency in Estonia.
I thought it was Estonian, that's why I asked.
Yeah, no, it's not Estonia. There's another project. You might have heard about Holvi,
Yeah.
and that they use e-residency, and you can set up company wherever you are in the European Union. Okay. As a reinvented, we see all the nice projects. Of course, I used mBank again because they're not good at what they do for SME business, but also all things regarding artificial intelligence and virtual assistants. And we are at the next trend about wow workforce, as I mentioned in the beginning. What is interesting, because mBank could combine artificial intelligence and the human intelligence together. So it's not about talking to somebody, to a robot, but you know, when it comes to more complicated conversations, it actually shifts the whole conversation to somebody and an advisor at the call center, and this way having the chance to go over more complicated products like mortgage or asset management products. So the chatbot, Maya, will handle the simple conversations and actually can free up the call center staff and helping to manage the customer experience much better way than it was in the past. So the difference is that now there are the special escalation protocols, as you see in here, wherever the engine or the artificial intelligent agent realizes that it doesn't have the right answer, it automatically, without the notice, the customer is handled to the right call center advisor. Let's see some examples. Some examples also comes from Sberbank, where they are able, via mobile app and kind of virtual agent, also better handle all operational issues within the branch network. And you can imagine that Sberbank, as the dominant player, used to have almost 19,000 branches in Russia, which is unbelievable, a lot of branches. So to help all the branch managers to you know, to handle the critical moments or difficulties, these mobile apps help them to understand where and what to find, and also helps overall KPIs-driven flow, where and which branch it performs and how. So, and also where the artificial intelligence is very well used in micro learning. And this is what was done at Intesa in Italy, where in a Netflix way, all the branch staff or any kind of staff can watch short videos and can better understand new regulation or any new products they are going to deploy. So anything important, very quick way, and at the convenient time and place they would like to have. Anyway, where we see important shift is the open banking, of course. And it's not about APIs. It's a buzzword everybody talks about, but if we really would like to see the marketplaces, there are really a few. And I'm very glad that the one comes from UK. First Direct is the subsidiary of HSBC. And what they did, they are partnering with Bot Financial. It's like a store, open source store, where you as a customer, you can bring all your mobile financial apps, and it's kind of an aggregator where you can see them. Of course, First Direct tries to motivate you to open an account of First Direct, but you are not obliged to do so. So it's an open platform solution, and really going beyond the typical banking and bringing more value for customers. Something similar we can see also with the examples, but before, the key shift is just not to be compliant and having open banking platform somewhere else outside the core system bank offer, but also included that, and that's, I think, critical if banks would like to take and seize the opportunities of open banking.
So the key is to be open.
Yes.
Not just to have the open.
Just to open up, not to stay isolated, not to really work on some in-house solutions because you might be just too slow, and we never know when it going to be launched. When we look at, Google with the day cycles they have, we need to definitely partner, and this is the way how banks can do it. So examples, as I mentioned, there are other ones. BBVA AP Market is a great sandbox where they bring their SMEs, and they can test and prototype their financial solution apps, and not only financial ones. And Fidor Bank is imagine an Apple store. So it's working very similarly, where like Apple, they make a due diligence even of all the mobile financial apps, and then you can use them just to make sure they are correct, they work properly, there are not any bugs or whatever. So these are really important things, I think, in open banking to have it ready. I know banks have the issues because you've never been a digital player before. But that's important that even like HSBC, a big giant, why are their digital sub-brands like First Direct are going to do so? If we look at the last one, and this is about transactions and big data, Sberbank delivered a very nice PFM tool, but not the PFM tool we might think of. By the way, how many of you here do you use your PFM tool of your bank? Please raise your hand.
That's something that I really want to see. How many?
Okay, it seems like
No.
yeah. So it's actually money thrown out the
or it
window.
has to do with customer experience.
But let's look at the video from Sberbank, how PFM tool might be more useful for customer.
Personal financial management services are usually a retrospective, a history of expenses. But most people don't actually like to spend time analyzing data themselves. Why not bring about true PFM automation? Why not help our users change their financial habits using data? It's part of the Sberbank Online mobile app for private customers. Tips helps users save money, time, and effort. Tips analyzes the user's financial behavior and gives recommendations based on artificial intelligence. For example, if you have a huge sum of money on your banking card and don't plan to spend it soon, the app will recommend you use this money. You can open the deposit right from the Tips app. Another example, you're planning a new addition to your family. The Tips service can help by using AI. Tips can make a checklist with documents and addresses of the organizations to visit during the first month of your baby's life. In February, Tips becomes available to 20 million active users of Sberbank Online. Currently, the service is used by around 250,000 users daily. In the future, we will cover more life situations and give more tips to our users. We want to make tips more contextual, showing them not only in the special section of the app, but after the relevant actions of users. Want to know more? Welcome to Sberbank booth to chat with the creators of Tips, part of the Sberbank Online app.
So as you see, it's something where it's shifting for information-oriented, collecting information, to a lead action generation-oriented tool, which is completely different, and a PFM tool, our banks become kind of a financial companion, which we also mentioned in the beginning. So to conclude, there are some examples. We have these 6 trends we identified, but there is a one red thread which goes beyond all these 6, and that probably you don't know, but actually it's your life. And life is actually the main goal of most of the banks, why the innovations do it. So do it with a human touch, and that's why we're shifting from more customer experience to human experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.